Thank you, Mr. Interim Chair. I have with us today a number of library board members who are at the rail. Keith Simmons, who is president of our board, our vice chair, Margaret Ann Robinson, and also board member Joyce Searcy are all joining me today, as well as a number of our staff in the back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our standard question is, can you operate within the mayor's proposed budget?
Yes, we can.
I'll turn the floor over to you for introductory remarks.
Okay. The library board and staff are pleased with the mayor's proposed budget, and we are grateful for the administration's support. With this budget, the library will be able to move forward with very exciting opportunities. Specifically, staffing 2 new branches, additional renovations and repair on existing facilities, development of the Studio NPL program, an opportunity for additional school library improvements, and supporting the growth of the Nashville After Zone Alliance. Statistically, 2013-14 demonstrates that the Nashville Public Library continues to be heavily used by our communities. Despite the fact that several of our branches have seen partial closures for renovation during the year, our checkout rate is running nearly 6% ahead of last year. That is in large part due to more online materials being available. Through April of this year, 234,000 people have attended 6,500 library programs. A continued testament to the need of providing free access to technology in our community, over 856,000, that's 856,000 computer sessions have been reserved on our public computers or entered into wirelessly in our library buildings. In addition to the basic services of providing materials, free computer access and training, job skills, and daily programs for adults and children, here are just a few of the highlights of this last year. The library completed its internal strategic plan and revised its mission statement. This statement, inspire reading, advance learning, and connect our community, is the basis for our future. Our big goal in this plan is a campaign to make sure that 70% of Davidson County residents are NPL card holders. With the addition of Monday service hours at the main library, we have seen a 23% increase in visits to the building through this April. That's 625,000 total visitors to the main library. The building resumed Monday hours last October. Our 2 branch building projects, Southeast and Bellevue, are on schedule to open this fall and this winter. Branch library renovations have included heating and air conditioning replacements, cosmetic improvements, and upgrades to branches, including Edge Hill, Inglewood, East, Pruitt, Old Hickory, Edmondson Pike, and Richland Park. The Metro Archives move from Green Hills to the 3rd floor of the main library will be completed this month. The overall 3rd floor renovations at the main library by the end of this summer. An exciting project is the development of the Studio NPL. This makerspace initiative will focus on teens and was planned through a grant provided by the MacArthur Foundation and Institute for the Museum and Library Services. It will be expanding throughout the library system in this and in coming years. The main library's Studio NPL will open later this year. Earlier this week, you may have noticed, if you're a CNN.com follower, there was an extensive article on this studio and a featured article on CNN.com. Our Limitless Libraries program continues to be a great success. In 2013-14, we were serving 126 public schools. Our circulation was 220,000 items so far this year, and approximately 20,000 students have signed up for Limitless Libraries. In 13-14, Limitless Libraries was fully implemented in 1 charter school, Cameron College Prep. Next year, we will be in Cameron College Prep and Brick Church College Prep. Both schools are committed to funding a certified librarian position and providing funding for their school libraries. This year's middle school library renovations, in collaboration with MNPS at Apollo and DuPont Tyler, will be completed this summer. An additional partnership activity this year was the analysis of and recommendation to adopt a joint online library catalog system, including both the holdings of the Nashville Public Library and our school libraries. The library also added Hoopla Online. Yes, that's Hoopla, a new video, audiobook, and music streaming platform, and also Overdrive streaming, which includes videos free to all library card holders. Adult literacy initiatives are expanding as part of our commitment to family literacy support. More ELL and GED classes are being offered at library locations. Last year, NPL hosted its first Nashville Adult Literacy Summit at the main library and will host the second one this fall. The Pathway for New Americans program, focusing on immigrants to Nashville, is in the process of being implemented. We continue to provide essential library programs funded through the Library Foundation, such as Bringing Books to Life, Total, and Wishing Chair Productions, our puppet troupe. Our production of the String City show will be in Germany at an international puppet festival this month. Liz Atack, who leads the Nashville Public Library's Bringing Books to Life, our program promoting early literacy across Nashville, won the 2014 Toyota Family Teacher of the Year Award, funded by Toyota and awarded in partnership with the National Centers for Family Learning. Liz is the first librarian to win this award, and I can't tell you how proud we are of her. In February, Total, the Totally Outstanding Teen Advocates for Library program, headed by Monica McLaurin, was honored for efforts to reduce both school, community bullying, and school bullying. The recognition took place during the National Conference on Bullying. The library once again offered the citywide program Nashville Reads with the enthusiastic collaboration of the Mayor's Office and many of our community partners. Our ebook collection continues to grow and expand with the assistance of the improved 4% materials funding. We currently offer 44,750 copies of ebook titles. Numerous author programs took place last year thanks to Salon at 615 with our community partners Parnassus Books, Humanities Tennessee, and Nashville Public Library Foundation. The author list was so exciting it is difficult to mention only a few, but it includes such authors as Pat Conroy and Amy Tan. NPL also hosted numerous sessions of the Southern Festival of Books last fall. Last but not least, the library was an active partner in the Affordable Care Act healthcare insurance enrollment, hosting volunteer-supported sign-up sessions for the public over a 6-month period. Specific projects coming in 2014-15 include completion of the branch building projects Southeast and Bellevue, as well as the main library renovation. Continued branch renovations, including major renovations planned at North, Hadley Park, Bordeaux, and Edmondson Pike. And I can tell you, I came here this evening from Bordeaux where we held our first community meeting, and I will be going back to Bordeaux branch this evening as we continue to hold those community meetings. We will be expanding the Studio at NPL program. We are excited to be implementing the NASA program in the public library environment, which we think is a perfect fit for that program. We look at doing more school library renovations. We are excited about implementing the Pathway for New Americans and our New Americans Corner. We plan on expanding our library card holder base. We plan to continually renovate our website, and we plan to coordinate another Nashville Reads program. As far as challenges facing the library, we do have a few. Our absence of Friday hours for library branches impedes access to library services and programs to Davidson County residents. Inadequate staffing levels continue to place a strain on our frontline and behind-the-scenes support staff. NPL's materials budget requires continued growth. We have made great strides forward this year and hope to continue in that direction. In 2012-13, the library added 137,221 items. With this year's 4% budget, we expect that number to be over 156,000. And finally, parking for the main library is the greatest concern we hear from our library users downtown. The main library parking lot is clearly a detriment to those considering a visit to that main library building. As I did last year, I would like to assure you that our expectation continues to be that Nashville's public library is and will be a great library and a great city that is more than books. We work every day to make that a reality. We have a great staff that works on that. And I would like to remind you to please make sure to sign up for the Summer Reading Challenge. So, thank you. We will be happy to take questions.
The chair has a comment before I recognize Council Lady Moore. I know you introduced some board members here, but and I know each board member is very important, but one, Margaret Ann Robinson, exemplifies the Nashville Public Library system and what a board or commissioner should be in Nashville. Margaret Ann, stand up and let us thank you for your many, many years of service. Thank you. Council Lady Moore.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Oliver, thank you, staff, and also your board members, which I do know some of them. And also, again, thank you for, I was so elated about or excited about the renovations of Edge Hill Library, and that was really great because that was forthcoming. And also the library card, I needed a new one, so thank you so much for
Our pleasure.
It was, that was on time. I wanted to ask you about the NASA program, since it has moved over to your area. Will there be satellite areas? Will the main library be the main place where this will be based, but will there also be satellite areas? I'm also thinking of my area as well.
The library will be joined by Candy Martin from the mayor's office, who manages that program. And as far as expansion, as I understand it, we will be going to 5 zones eventually. I do not know that we will be expanding into any specific areas. The primary direction that we are taking is that the management of that is coming to the library. At this time, we are not looking at library locations as sites for NASA, but we'll continue the program as it has been.
Okay, it is definitely a great program. I know when I went to Glen Cliff High School and they had their overall program for everybody to come together, the 5 zones, it was really good to see those kids showcase their talents. The studio, I was reading on page 15, as well as in the book I-39, that this is sort of like a technology or a technology program. Okay. Is that?
It's an individual learning space. It's what we call a maker space. Mm-hmm. And what it is about is providing teenagers the opportunity to create and work with in areas of technology, areas of recording, areas of writing, areas of music in a one-on-one type of situation. The program also includes mentorships and mentors. We will be either contracting or having mentors on staff who will assist teens as they come into this program. It is going to be at the main library by the end of the summer, we hope, or at least early fall. And some of the things you'll see in there will be recording equipment, computers, big screen TVs, that sort of thing. And during the grant process of this, when we were actually planning it under Tricia Bengel's leadership, the kids came in and we looked at what they wanted to have in there. And the things that were going on were things like Southern Word, a young lady wrote her piece, she put it to music, she put it to video, and so it was a real performance piece, and she learned about all of that technology as she went through it. And that's really what each of these will be about, is that individual learning and how to provide that student the opportunity to really explore and excel beyond where they've been before.
And did those students find out about this program? I mean, how did the word get out about this type of program?
Well,
how was it communicated?
Okay, during the grant process, we went through Southern Word and also the teens that are down at the main library and recruited for that initial group. As we go forward, as I envision it, there will be an opportunity for anybody who is interested in it to take part in it. It will not be the type of situation where only a few will have access, but we will take them as far as the numbers can be handled.
Okay, and one more question. Two. I'm still on page I-39. On the Limitless Library, you said that you have a pilot to charter schools. What charter schools? Do you have a listing of those charter schools?
I believe it was, I gave those to you and I went right by them. Cameron College Prep is this year, and then next year will be Brick Church College Prep. Okay, the real key to that is that in order for Limitless Libraries to be successful, we require that the schools have a certified librarian, and they also have library space and a collection. And unfortunately, the way the regulations for charter schools to be founded are written in the state, they do not require libraries. And so that is why, at this point, we have not moved into charters more.
Okay, and one more question. Under your goals, you have digital divide, where the citizens have greater access to free computers as well as expanded opportunities for learning broad-based computer application and electronic resources. Is that in all libraries?
Right. The idea is that between the wireless and the hardwired computers in all of our locations, that we want to make sure that folks have the opportunity to come in and use those free computers. Just to give you an idea, at the main library, we've just opened part of the third floor of the public access computer section. We have 68 computers that are free to the public in that one area. And after we opened the other day, for the first time opening that area up, all of those computers were filled by the middle of the morning.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council Lady Weiner.
Thank you, Interim Chair Charlie. So, first of all, I have to say how excited everybody in Bellevue is about the new facility coming online, and I'm looking forward to my opportunity to sit down with Catherine and Elise to look at programming and community events that we've all looked forward to. The people in different sectors, the students, the teachers, the parents, the families, the people that are looking for work are so excited to have this new facility. It's really, really, really going to be a big deal for the community. So thank you. We appreciate that. I have two quick questions for you. Is loss prevention and maintenance of the tablets and the computers much of an issue?
No. As far as, we're kind of talking about two different things. We don't have any trouble, obviously, at the workstations. They hang on. And when we're able to use docking stations for laptops or whatever, we actually have software embedded that can track those and shut those down after they go out of Davidson County and we know the location.
How many of them are staying in Davidson County and not coming back into the facility, or what percentage?
I'm not aware that, I'm looking back at Tricia actually, and she's saying 0.
Sweet. I know some businesses that probably need to learn that tracking software. So under program revenue, charges, commissions, and fees, I noticed that that dollar figure has dropped. To what do you attribute that?
I'm looking at Susan.
Hold on. Yes.
That is an adjustment in our revenue. For the past 5 years, we have seen a decline in revenues collected. Part of that, we think, we don't know for sure, is the self-service. Before, when you had to go up to a person, they automatically prompt you, oh, I see you have a fee. with the self-service, they don't have that prompt. It may be on the screen, but they don't necessarily have to pay.
Right. The other part of that is also that the e-books, the electronic book checkout is going up incredibly. And of course, when your time is up with the free e-book checkout, it's gone. And so we do not collect fines or fees on the e-book checkout.
What's the percentage that has dropped, or do you know, of the number of books that have been checked out over time because of the e-book system?
I can give you that number. I do not have that statistic with you right now. Actually, the board receives a number on that every month. The hardbacks are going down slightly, but we're seeing huge increases in e-checkout between the e-books and some of the services that I described to you. And so you lose the opportunity there for the,
Thank you.
Councilwoman Johnson.
Thank you, Chair Taggart. I just have one question. In your strategic issues and goals, you mentioned the restoring of the Friday hours, which is very encouraging. What are the hours that you're looking at restoring? Is it going to be all day or just a portion of the day? What is the goal there? And is this budget going to be able to allow you to do that?
This budget does not allow us to do that. If we were able to go to Friday hours, I know we would want a full 8-hour day, if possible, as we would move in that direction. Most likely it would be 9:30 to 5:30 or 10 to 6. That's the type of hours we would like. Actually, when I was out at Bordeaux today, a number of the folks out there mentioned how sad they were the library was not open on Fridays.
Well, the concern from constituency is that, when students have research projects over the weekend, or I think you're closed, Saturday and Sunday?
It depends on the branch.
On the branch.
Most branches are open on Saturday, a few on Sunday. The main library is open on Sunday.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to getting more information on that because it seems to be a hardship for students, and we want to make sure that people continue to stay excited about utilizing the services we provide in our libraries, because there's a lot of resources there for our students. We want to make sure they have, we want to make sure that they remain to have access. The other thing is, I spoke to you about minorities being in the top librarian positions for Metro, and you said that currently we don't have anybody because the lady who used to be in one, I think, moved on or retired.
We had 2 branch librarians retire with the early retirement buyouts, and we've been in the process of trying to fill those positions. We will have a regional branch position that we'll begin the process of hiring on shortly. Actually, we were just cleared to begin the interviewing process for that position.
Well, for us to be the welcoming city and, the Nashville, the it city, we've got to make sure that that we have minorities in these key positions, and I have to say that here at the budget hearing because that was a charge from the Minority Caucus.
Right.
My other colleagues here will probably chime in and say some other things to that aspect, but we just want you to know how critically important that is, that is made a priority. I know you said that there was a lot of challenges with recruiting people with a specific expertise for the positions, but we do have talent that has been identified, within Metro, and so we want to make sure that that opportunity is available to them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I think it's important to note that we called out diversity in our strategic plan specifically, and that thanks to Metro Finance, we were able to fill HR position this year that we have not had in the past. Susan was doing both the books and HR jointly, and so we were able to get that position back full-time, and we have that very specifically on our radar to work on, I assure you.
Thank you. We appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Dowell.
First of all, I just want to concur with Sherry Weiner said, Councilman Weiner, about the Bellevue Library. We're equally excited about the Southeast Branch Library that's opening, and I just happened to see in the notes that the opening date now has been pushed a little back to October from what was proposed in September. I had a question to ask you. She asked about the library hours. I wanted to ask about the staffing. You had two different numbers on here. You had I guess on one sheet, 341 employees and 308 filled. I was trying to get an idea of how many positions you have available that are not filled, was one question. The second question is, I would like to see, how do you determine which libraries you would consider for Saturday hours? Friday hours. I know some libraries may have more people that want to go to that library on Fridays versus some others. So I was wondering, had you considered any type of plan with regard to if you had hours available on Friday, which libraries would you have available? And then what type of staffing would you need for that? And you can get back to me on that one.
Okay. We can give you the specific numbers, but I can give you an idea of our thought process. We did request Friday hours for both Southeast and Bellevue, and the numbers you have in front of you for the staff do not include Fridays as part of the approved budget. The Friday hours that we requested outside of those two new buildings were for regional libraries. Our thought process there is that those are the largest libraries with the most resources serving a broad area, and that those would be the most efficient ones and the most effective ones as we try and move into Fridays initially. We certainly are sympathetic and aware that there are revenue considerations for Metro and that you're trying to balance a budget. And we did not want to jump entirely into Fridays this year if we were able to get the opportunity. We were hoping to phase that in throughout our entire system. But we did our thought would be we would like for the two new libraries to be open on Friday and the regional libraries to be open on Friday.
And as far as staffing go, do I understand that you have 33 positions that you have yet to fill? Is that about right?
Well, that's a little
available position.
Right, that's a little misleading. We have what I call slippage, but what we're talking about when you see the difference in that, it's when a position comes open and we're waiting to receive permission from finance and HR and Metro to fill those positions. And depending upon the location and time of the year, we typically run anywhere from 25 to 35 open positions.
But these positions are funded positions in the budget.
That's correct.
So they're funded positions. It just may be you not have those positions filled at some point in time through the budget year. And one other, are you operating a bookstore or anything like that to generate funds for the library or anything like that? I know some of the public libraries I've spoken with, they subsidize some of the revenues for the library by selling books. Is that something that you are doing in the library system currently?
The Friends of the Library actually operate an ongoing book sale at the Donaldson branch in the basement, and that is our source, and they provide that money for different things within the library system, whether it be staff support or extra programming or some extras that are not in the budget. That, along with the foundation, the Friends of the Library are a great support for us.
And the other thing, I asked about this last year, have you considered any partnerships as far as what type of volunteers that you have? I know in our southeast area, we have quite a few school teachers and ex-librarians that express interest in volunteering at the library to help out. I thought maybe that could be a source of additional staff that may be needed for if you go to Friday hours and so forth. And the last question, or not really a question, really a comment I wanted to make. As you are aware, and Council Lady Johnson mentioned this, that the library in Nashville currently doesn't have the most positive reputation in the community with regard to diversity. The other thing is, I've heard from out in the public about Bordeaux Library not being a regional library or being a Tier 1 library, or I don't know the different levels, so I'll apologize for that.
It's a Tier 2.
A Tier 2 library, and some of the downsides of not having a Tier 1 versus Tier 2. And so I say that to encourage you that libraries are a huge source of a resource for a lot of people in communities that don't have a lot of money. It provides access to opportunities. I know for me, the library was my summer vacation, getting a book. I had the opportunity to travel where some of the places I may have not traveled, I didn't have the money to go, but I was able to get a book and read. So I grew up in the library reading, and it has served me well over the years because I'm a big bookworm. So I want to make sure that as we progress forward, that we are taking that into consideration, that areas of our city where we have a higher level of poverty, that we're looking at putting high level of educational resources within our libraries to service those communities, because some of those kids and families do not have the access that some of the other areas have. And last, our library, of course, we're only doing the top floor, and we still have the bottom floor available. And I know that a lot of people have tried to put dibs on that space downstairs. What I do know is that the community is interested in having access for that space for a lot of different things, and not necessarily a spot to run a nonprofit. So as we look at next year and further along the lines, we do know that the library that we have in Southeast is going to be very popular, from the Nashville State College using it, to the Academy of Hickory Hollow, to the multitude of schools, seniors, religious groups all around there looking forward to that library opening. So I do see in the future that we can use that space downstairs to provide library type services. So I'm hoping that as we move forward, we take that into consideration for the library.
Okay. Thank you. And I would just like to assure you that we agree with everything that you mentioned in regards to diversity. And I've always thought that libraries are the great equalizer in our society, and we intend to continue doing that.
Thank you. Councilman Claber.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver, and for your board being here. We appreciate you sharing your evening with us. I have a quick question that's primarily for those folks that are watching or may watch the rerun on this concerning hours. In this budget, there are no reductions in hours. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, great. A lot of folks interested in that. And then I have just a comment. Over the last 6 years, through the vehicle of the Donaldson Gateway Project, the Donaldson community, District 15 community, has contributed several $1,000s and literally hundreds and hundreds of volunteer hours to make the Donaldson branch one of the most beautifully landscaped libraries in the city. And we would appreciate any considerations for a permanent sign out front and for any improvements that could be done inside to match some of the work that we've done outside. Just a comment.
You'll be happy to know we're talking about signs right now, and we expect something to happen in that shortly. We've not been unaware of that.
Councilman Dominy.
Thank you. I just want to follow up on the Friday hours. Are there any libraries open on Friday now?
The main library.
The main library is open. Is there any way we could conveniently post that on our branch library so that if a person arrives there needing to do research, they can go to the main library? Or is that just posted on the website?
I'd have to double check as far as an actual posting at the branches. I know it is on the website, and that sounds like a very good idea if we're not already doing it.
And just what would the cost be if we were to add hours, Friday hours at, even if we did it regionally, a library in north, southeast, and maybe Bellevue area for Friday hours?
Susan.
We talking about all 7?
Well, why don't you?
If we were to open up the regional libraries that we have now, which is Madison, Bordeaux, Green Hills, Hermitage, and Edmondson Pike, it would be $672,000.
Okay. That would be just for full 8 hours for Friday?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Charlie, I'd like to add that to a wish list.
Ms. Waller will take note. Thank you. And finally, I'm going to recognize Councilman Bedney, who I'm sure is going to ask, can he watch your TV and watch Soccer World Cup over there?
That is exactly Do you have a big screen TV where we can play it? No. Years ago, when I got elected, I went to the library and I asked if you could create a makerspace on the Southeast Library with 3D printers. So just like today, when somebody prints a resume, uses the library. I know, because I've done it in the past, creating 3D models for inventors in Nashville and when I lived in Ohio, that it could be a good way to help many entrepreneurs so they could explore new inventions. And at the time, I thought that it was going to be part of the Southeast Library. I see that now you're creating one in the Downtown Library. Is that going to be the...
When Southeast opens, it will have a studio, and it should have a 3D printer. And actually, the 3D printers are a key part of the studio experience, and I apologize that I neglected to mention that, but that's one of the key technology elements.
I think that's great, because I think people in Antioch are very entrepreneurial, and they're going to be flocking to the library, so thank you very much for doing that.
You're welcome.
That ends the questions that I see in the queue. Thank you, Mr. Oliver, and I would invite Mr. Oh, excuse me.
Just following up with what Councilor Johnson and Dow said, is there, when you, about the employees that you had said something about not being qualified applicants so far as minority, now, years of service, do they happen to, is that taken into consideration, years of service, if someone, say, they wanted to apply for a management position? Is that something that you all look at?
Mm-hmm. I think it's important to talk about it. The thing that we are finding that we run up against the most is that our manager positions and professional librarian positions require a master's in library science, and that is a degree, obviously a graduate degree, that unfortunately we do not necessarily find in diverse populations. And actually, it's interesting, the American Library Association has a program called Spectrum, where they fund minorities to go into graduate school and are trying to have more folks that have that degree. And that is the issue that we're actually finding overall. It's a combination of what you find nationally, not just in Nashville, plus what we experienced when we had the early retirement buyouts.
So that's one of the requirements. You got to have a master's.
Certainly in the administration and most of the management positions, although I will say that we are considering graduate degrees in education as something we may look at in the future as well.
Okay, I hope you all consider that as well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that concludes. Thank you, Mr. Oliver, and I'll ask Mr. Lynch in the Parks Department to come forward.